Red Bluff of Tucson. Written by Paul Cox. Narrated by Jerry McDaniel. Chapter 1. February 28, 1862. A wind cold enough to burn skin hissed through needles of giant saguaro, around thorns of mesquite, and into the hunched backs of 100 soldiers. For 3 weeks the sky had been a churning sea of steel-gray clouds. 4 days earlier, after emerging from a blizzard in Apache Pass, the snow turned to rain. Now, Company A, Texas Mounted Volunteers, lined both sides of the muddy overland stage road. Bearded, dirty, and wet, the hand-picked riders sat in stoic silence. Their broad-brimmed hats were tugged down tight against the cold. None of them, except Caleb Felton, expected such a winter so far south. At the head of the column, Captain Sherrod Hunter pulled a watch from his pocket and wiped the fog from its glass. 1 hour of daylight remained. Lieutenant Felton would return soon. Hunter could count on that. The lieutenant was neither Texan nor Arizona Ranger, so when he joined the company, he was only offered the rank of third lieutenant. Caleb Felton, whatever he might have been east of the Rio Grande, had proved to be one of the most able men in the outfit. He was certainly best qualified to reconnoiter Tucson. Hunter's orders from General Sibley were to occupy Tucson, New Mexico Territory, and open communications with Southern California. He was to guard the mineral deposits and protect the citizens of the region as well. Should Hunter encounter Yankee forces he could not defeat, Sibley promised reinforcements from Mesilla under command of Colonel Baylor. However, Mesilla was 300 desolate miles to the east. Captain Hunter turned into the wind and glanced back at his small army. With a shotgun or Sharp's rifle across every saddle, they sat at the ready. Around the waist of each man, a wide leather belt held a tomahawk, bowie knife, and 2 Colt pistols. Most of the Texans had lariats and could entangle an enemy horse on a dead run. These were seasoned fighters, calloused by life on an unforgiving frontier, used to its freedoms. They signed up as Confederates, but at heart they were rebels. Without a gray uniform among them, they looked more like a band of pirates than a company of soldiers. Hunter's men were well armed and on good mounts, but for the most part were guerrilla fighters. They could annihilate any Yankee force twice their size in a running battle, yet wouldn't stand a chance if a large trained army was stationed in Tucson. When Felton ducked into the 10 in Mesilla and volunteered for the 3-year enlistment, Hunter was skeptical. The company was nearly full, and this was to be a crucial campaign. There was no room for fools or adventurers. Hunter re-enlisted as many experienced men from Baylor's Mounted Riflemen and any Arizona Territorial Rangers he could find. Felton appeared to be more like a riverboat gambler and a womanizer. But when Felton, dressed in a suit fit for New Orleans, spoke, his words were those of an educated man. When he suddenly switched to Spanish, his accent was almost flawless. His skin was dark and his eyes brown. When questioned, Felton claimed he was not Spanish. His mother, he said, was the daughter of a Portuguese sea captain. Yet he had the look and mannerisms of a Spanish gentleman. That was enough for Hunter. There would be a need for spies the further west they went. Spies that could blend into Mexican villages and towns. Most of Hunter's men had lived in New Mexico Territory and would be easy to recognize. When Hunter handed Felton the quill and asked for his full name on the enlistment papers, there was a moment of hesitation. After an explanation that the signature was one of the few regulations Sibley required, Felton signed Caleb Robespierre Felton. Unfortunately, the Texans, joining one of the most formidable fighting forces since the Alamo, didn't take the dandy seriously. When the latecomer warned everyone to prepare for cold weather, they laughed. Felton smiled along with them. The Portuguese, he explained, had sailed the seas for centuries and could read the skies. His mother had taught him to do the same. It was going to be unusually cold. He said it only once, then quietly went about his business, which included the purchase of a full-length buffalo coat. Captain Hunter turned out of the wind and looked back toward Tucson. He could see a black speck of movement outlined against a dingy ribbon of muddy road. It was a rider, and he was coming fast. Placing the watch deep in his vest pocket, Hunter sat up straight. A minute later he glanced at Second Lieutenant Jim Tevis next to him.
"That's Felton. He can ride like the devil."
Tevis shrugged.
Who would have thought? The way Sample complete. Ready to continue?